you're getting close to graduation, you're probably pretty curious about getting licensed. We wanted to lay out a checklist of things you need in order to get licensed, stay licensed over the year, and transfer your license if you need to. To kick things off, we'll talk about getting licensed in the first place. You won't be able to get licensed immediately upon graduation. You'll need to complete the hours laid out by your state and by your school. Depending on your state, you might have the option to do an apprenticeship with related work experience, but all states will accept cosmetology school graduation. Also, if you want to get your license renewed in your state, you sometimes have to complete refresher courses or continue in education in order to get that license. The hours needed for each program may vary. They also vary from state to state, so what you see are what typical program hours look like. Cosmetology is the first one. For a cosmetology program, you'll probably need around 1,500 to 2,100 hours. This usually takes you 50 to 58 weeks to complete, so around a year or so. Renewing your license in some states require about 12 hours for each renewal period. Barbering is the next one. A barber program will usually require 1,000 hours, and you'll need about 4 to 12 hours every 2 years for renewal depending on your state. For cosmetology instructor, to become a cosmetology instructor, you usually need to have a few years working in the beauty industry. You'll also need around 600 hours of cosmetology instructor training. For aesthetics, an aesthetics program usually takes 400 to 1,000 hours, and you'll probably need about 12 hours of continuing education a year. A nail technology program is around 400 hours, and you may need 4 hours a year to keep your license. A license to be a hairstylist usually requires around 1,000 hours, and you usually need 12 credits a year. Massage therapy is the next one. It will typically be around 1,000 hours, and continuing education requirements vary from state to state. For electrology, an electrology or a laser training program will generally take around 500 hours, depending what you're studying, but it usually requires about 2 to 12 hours a year to keep your license. Natural hair is just starting to get recognized as a licensed program, but a few states do have it, like Illinois for instance, but hours may vary from a few hours to several weeks, and you may or may not have to complete continuing education hours. I would definitely talk to your state cosmetology board to see the requirements on natural hair. To become a makeup artist is another gray area whether or not a state has a license for it. This will vary from state to state and school to school, but for most states, having a makeup license or certificate is an added bonus. Permanent makeup, on the other hand, will usually have a license. This varies from state to state, but this is usually along the same lines as a tattooing license. For salon management, a license usually requires you to provide proof of 2,700 hours of licensed work in the last 3 years. And programs to get licensed vary from state to state, but it usually takes around 6 months to a few years, depending on the type of program management you want to attend. The last thing is hours on fashion design schools. This isn't heavily focused on in beauty school, but we wanted to tell you that even though you can't get licensed in fashion, you can get a bachelor's or an associate's degree in it. A bachelor's degree will take you around 4 years, and associates will take you around 2 years. The last thing I wanted to touch on here was transferring your license. So when you're transferring your cosmetology license from one state to another, you'll need a record of your completed training hours from your beauty school or state cosmetology license board and proof that you've taken and passed the board exams. Reciprocity and endorsement are two of the common ways that you'll be able to transfer your cosmetology license from one state to the next. So, cosmetology license reciprocity is when another state allows you to work under the license of your current state. So, for example, if you live in Kansas City, Missouri and have a Missouri cosmetology license, but you want to work in Kansas, you will need to find out if the state of Kansas will allow you to work under your Missouri license. Reciprocity usually depends on whether the two states have similar or equivalent licensing requirements. Some states have a policy of licensure by endorsement. This means you're attempting to qualify for a license in a new state without having to take the new state's state board exams. This is usually achieved by having a current active cosmetology license in good standing in your home state, and similar to the reciprocity requirements I just mentioned, your home state must have comparable or more strict education and exam requirements than the new state. There may also be age, education, and other requirements to get licensed by endorsement. If you have any questions at all about getting licensed, make sure to visit beautyschoolsdirectory.com. We have a whole section on licensing, and I'll put a link down below for you to check out. As always, feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns. We're always here to help. I'm Elizabeth, and we'll see you next time.